The Highest in the Room is proud to be sponsored and lit by the CWCB Expo. The show has helped build a legalized cannabis industry and is a leading forum for the entire supply chain, seed to sale. At their events, many mergers, acquisitions, and deals are signed because of the exposure they provide to participating companies, sponsors, and brands. The CWCB Expo continues to support and stand shoulder to shoulder with the brave, courageous, and committed who have helped shape the cannabis industry, evolving through many phases of stigma, volatility, and legalization.
This is KymB reporting from the weed capital of the world, New York City. After almost 100 years of prohibition, the government has finally loosened the hold on cannabis. As we enter a new industry of innovation, technology, and greed, there are some cannabis professionals who have pushed through the doors of opportunity. I talk to them unfiltered and uncut. We get the real story from the highest in the room. Today's episode is super exciting. Solange is really well known in New York for her amazing events that she has thrown since, I would say, 2017. And now she throws events, has a tech platform, and does so many things. It's really exciting to hear from her about what's hot and spicy in cannabis and what she's got on the next year's agenda for cannabis professional business events, as well as anything else that you're working on, Solange. So first is let's get started on where you are from and what your hometown is now.
Yeah, so my family is from the Caribbean. First of all, thank you so much for having me, KymB. I love you and I appreciate this platform. Definitely not high right now, but will be soon. Yes, my family is from the Caribbean, Grenada and Dominica, mom and dad, and I grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, moved to New York 18 years ago, and currently live in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, baby.
Yes, baby.
Awesome. So you're definitely a Northeast gal and know your way around the parts up here. Um, so I want to ask you, tell us three things about yourself that we wouldn't know unless we asked.
Hmm. All right, three things about myself. One, I am the firstborn on mainland, as my family would say, from this Caribbean family that I'm a part of. I am the eldest. So I am the OG originator of this first gen family. And let's see, what else do you not know? I recently got a gig. I am working for Wana Brands. I'm the field marketing manager, and that has happened. It's just been about a month now. So I'm making the transition into being more of a gummy girl. And that is a huge deal for me. I have always been a flower child, and really pushing with that flower power. So I think this has been a major evolution for me.
One more. We got one more thing. I have something that I would, if you don't mind. You have a voice of an angel. Not everybody knows
Oh,
this, but you could sing.
oh yes,
You
you
have
can.
you have pipes, and I saw a reel of you singing on stage with a slew of other women, and it just gave me goosebumps just now.
Oh, yes. Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you, Kim. Yes, I am a part of creative activism group, protest group called the Resistance Revival Chorus, which was founded out of the Women's March. And yeah, it is a marvelous part of my life. It provides me the opportunity to express myself in the capacity vocally that I don't do as regularly anymore. I used to be in a band that was a psych rock band called Exhibition back in the day, and we toured a bit in India and traveled around.
I didn't know all that, so I'm so glad that I brought it up.
Yes, thank you. You know
That
more than me, girl.
You are very dynamic. You're one of the most dynamic women entrepreneurs in uh, that I know in the entire industry. So really interesting. You have a interesting background, and so let's dig into some hot and spicy cannabis business.
All
So.
right.
Um, there's a lot of things happening in the cannabis industry. What do you think is like hot right now on the cannabis scene? Product, organization, events. What's hot out there right now?
I mean, there's just so much happening. I think New York is just hot. Like, to be honest, there are so many shifts and industry changes and new brands coming in and new ways of partnering. Like, seeing brands involved in Fashion Week this year, like, that is such a big deal. Seeing that we have like now over 180 retail operators that are licensed, that's exciting. To see just a more dynamic and diverse product offering in the various dispensaries that you go into. I think that's really hot and spicy. Like, you can't just go in and get the same catalog of products in every space. Now these dispensaries are starting to take on their own energies and characteristics and like have a product selection that like works for their neighborhood, works for their consumers, or that is in alignment with their values and image. So I think that's really exciting, because we've been waiting for this for so long, and to finally start to see the development, like we're in such a nascent phase, but to see this development and the rollout finally happening is very exciting.
It is. What's a hot product from Wana? Because they have a diverse line of gummies and beyond.
Yeah, so the gummies that I have become a gummy girl and my go-to are the quick gummies. They have like a happy hour profile, so it's really kind of interesting. They have naming conventions like peach Bellini and like limoncello and strawberry margarita. And what's exciting about them is that essentially the quick gummies, because they have this nano sugar technology, the coating of them makes it so that you don't process the gummies in your stomach, and so the actual onset time is a lot faster, so you can feel the effects of the cannabis, whether it is a one-to-one like the strawberry margarita or it's a 10 milligram THC gummy, within 5 to 15 minutes, because it's processing up here, and so anybody who has sensitive stomach or has any issues with digestive issues, they can utilize this product and get the effect they need. And they have hybrid, as I said, they have one-to-one, they have sativa, they have indica. So it's been a beautiful learning process for me to just be able to sample and try and feel what it feels like to be a gummy girl on the go.
I love that. That's great. So let's dig into some spice. What burns you up in the cannabis industry?
Oh, girl. There- that list. I think one of the biggest things that frustrates me is the idea of collaboration and the intention around it, but not the practice, and the actual support. I think there's a lot of words, there's like a lot of lip service, to this idea of being connected, being collaborative, uplifting folks. And I know it's a lot due to the fact that folks are just overwhelmed. They have so much on their plate. They're trying to find shortcuts, trying to find the easiest way to get things done. But I would like to see more collaborations that are diverse in the partnerships. We see a lot of people lifting up folks who look and are just like them. And I wish that there would be more of an energy around a diverse and inclusive collaborative vibe in the industry.
Hell yeah, that's what's up, sis. And you've been an advocate in the space, going back to some roots with your organization, Humble Bloom, that you were
Yeah.
co-founder of. And so as you transition into all of the other things that you're doing now, which are so many, and we'll dig a little bit more into that, it is important that we listen to the people like yourself that have been advocating on a long-term basis, that are making impact. And I think that's a great point, is in order for us to make impact, we have to have a more all-inclusive, diverse collaboration, intention, energy, all of those things. So thank you for that. Now, let's dig in a little bit to all of the wonderful things that you do. So, I am a huge fan of the Weed Auntie.
Thank
Your
you.
events are amazing, they're immersive, they're memorable. What does it take from inside to put on an event that is epic, memorable, events that sell out in a matter of days?
Well,
What's kind of your secret sauce over there?
I think my secret sauce is longevity in different spaces. Like when I go out, I see a lot of the same people in a lot of the same experiences, and they're really, bringing their friends, and like it really is very, how do I say? It's not as inclusive around the kind of curious, around like just different people who are like outside of the industry, like not just cannabis content creators, not just cannabis entrepreneurs, not just cannabis wellness people. Like, how about we extend and go beyond to folks that are in women's health, folks that are in sustainability, people who are working in tech, people who are lawyers, that are outside of the cannabis space, just like the general everyday human being who is interested in this plant and its benefits. And I think because I have been in music, I've done programming at member spaces in the music industry capacity. I have worked in wellness. I'm a breathwork guide. I do a lot of more mainstream things as well. I produce experiences outside of the cannabis space as a freelancer. So to be able to really consciously cultivate within different communities and then bring those people into our beautiful industry and invite them into a space that is a container that is beautiful, so that they want to linger and stick around, where there's good seating and they don't feel like they're exhausted and standing in a basement or like on a rooftop with no seats. Like making sure that it's accessible for folks. And I think also making sure that it's affordable. Like I look at a lot of the ticket prices for events too, and it's hard for people to access just monetarily, regardless. Whether it's a $50 ticket, like things are just so expensive for folks right now, whether it's gas, groceries, just their apartment and rent. Like, how can we make it more seamless and without friction for folks to explore the plant, its benefits, and the community that is so lovely that we have the benefit, have actually the honor of being a part of. So to me, that's what it is. And then it's just a ton of organization. Like right now, I have so many events, and I think that my creativity lies in creating experience. There are people who are visual artists, there are people who are brand marketers or graphic designers. Like for me, it's like I look at the layout of the space and I'm like, what could happen here? How could the flow happen? What can I use that's organically in this space so I don't have to bring in and spend a lot of money bringing things in? Like, how do we make sure that it's not a lot of waste and a lot of tchotchkes and things that people are just going to throw away? Like things that are impactful and that people have just like a great buzz when they leave, and also potentially made new friends. I want people to go to experiences and come away being like, that was so dope. I now know someone new. I now have a product that I like, and potentially new relationships that I can explore.
I think that people should take what you have just said and apply that to any business that they have. Utilize what's around you. make sure that everybody isn't invited and that it's a safe space. Have something that's memorable, and also create sustainability and energetically and actually environmentally. And I think that's so important. And I have seen and been part of events that you've thrown over the years, and I've seen you in action. You are extremely organized, thoughtful, methodical, and creative. And I think that's just, if everybody could do that for their business, everyone would be a successful entrepreneur. So
Well,
kudos to that.
thanks,
Um,
sis.
you have, going back just quickly to touch on making things accessible, in many of the events that you throw, you actually acquire sponsors that buy tickets for people that maybe don't have, that's not accessible for them, right? And so not only do you intentionally throw events that are accessible to everyone, but you also raise sponsorship money to make sure that literally everybody isn't invited. Where did that kind of stem from?
I mean, I have always looked at equity as an issue in life. I grew up in a white, Jewish, highly affluent neighborhood in Massachusetts, coming from an immigrant family where my mom worked multiple jobs to make sure that I could play sports, I could do arts and explore music. Like, she made sure that I had access and could figure out what sparked joy in me, what I was good at. And I'm getting a little emotional. I love my mom. But I I think when it comes to being able to dream, being able to imagine, to be able to envision like what's possible for you, you have to experience it. So I want to make sure that no matter where you're from, what your background is, what your socioeconomic status is, that you can walk through the door with pride and feel like you belong. And in order to do that, you have to make events low to no cost. So if you want, and like what we're doing as event marketers, producers, curators, is providing a service to the brands. You know, like you're plugging in the brand, whether it's an organization or it's a plant touching brand or it's an ancillary product or something completely outside of, you're providing potential consumers, like buyers, people who could have such brand loyalty. And this is not like just a pop-up shop, it's a culture. So it's like, how do I get to be a part of this culture and this movement? And so many of the folks who come to my events, not only do they like follow up and like, how do I buy this product later, like they're sharing it. Like, women, especially queer folks, when we find something that we love, we share with our friends, we let them know, because it worked for us. And we're so much the caretakers and providers for so many different folks, whether we have kids or not. So like this is how we operate. So for me, equity is always baked in. For Humble Bloom, when we first started, Danielle and I were like really intentional about that, because either one, like people love to keep you out of things, so we weren't invited to everything, and we're like, that sucks. Like, why are we not being invited? And like, we want to make sure everyone feels included. And then the other thing was, it's too expensive. So one of the first things we did was start a fair play fund, and Etain was the most supportive of that fair play fund, where they would sponsor that, and at least 1/3 of the tickets were free. Now with the regulations and being able to purchase product or like consume product on site, you really can't have a cost with it because it looks like you're gifting. So it's like, instead of buying the product, you're buying the ticket and then you're gifting, which is not allowed in New York City. So if you have a completely free event and there's sampling, that's another deal. So this is what I've done, and I've intentionally have partnerships with venues like Soho House, as well as the Moxie hotels, where I do not have to have a ticket cost. They generously give me the location. And then in partnership, they get to reap the benefits of these incredible experiences that their hotel guests and or members of the club can attend. get to learn and experience and meet new community. And then it's awesome for our community. That also brings down the cost of the event price, so that you can just walk in, no ticket, price needed, just RSVP and you're in.
That's what's up. I love that whole concept, and it really has went over well in the New York City community, where you you cannot judge a book by its cover. You do not know what's happening behind somebody. So I love that. Now I want to quickly touch on this whole self-care thing that you do with the breath work, and you threw an epic men's event, and you know there we have a lot of mental health issues. It's a lot of reason why people have gravitated to the plant, because of uh, for longevity and mental health issues, to resolve some anxiety, stress, sleep. You've done these events where you have created a safe meditational space for men and women, but you, again, something different, having a men's event, um, and facilitating breath work and a bunch of other modalities. Why do you do that? What is it that drives you with that?
Yeah, so in the pandemic, I think mental health issues spiked, and after that, we are seeing so much of the residue, the repercussions of what happened from us being stuck inside, and now people being unhoused. Like, yeah, mental health is such a critical issue in our society. And during the pandemic, I really dug into breath work. I became a breath work guide. I had been working with this group called Frequency, and I was really blending activism with well being. And I started also doing a weekly conversation called Radical Self Care on Afropunk's channel, dealing with different entrepreneurs, everybody from sustainability like Leah Thomas to somebody like, I don't know, like it was such a range of entrepreneurs, both in and outside of the cannabis space, to talk about mental health, to talk about um, plant integration into their well-being, to just talk about how they were getting along. And that really translated into, once we came back outside and we started communing and gathering again, I realized that we still need to find times to just slow down and be present. So I always incorporate mindful moments into my experiences, almost always. If it's a super social event, I might not be like, we're going to meditate in this moment. But like, I had an event recently with Dazed Dispensary here at Ludlow House, and even though the conversation was about meeting your dealer, meeting a legal operator in the area, and understanding the difference between what is a legal shop and what is an illegal shop, or an illicit shop, and like all of those, and then the actual story of this entrepreneur who now is a multi-state operator, has a shop in New York as well as a couple in Massachusetts. I kicked it off with integrating gummies into the experience and having a body scan and a mindful meditation with some breath work before we went into the conversation, because that really grounds and settles people into the space so that they can be focused on the conversation, so they can be aware of how they're breathing. Like, is it shallow and up here? Is it down here in your stomach? Are you still racing? And it's wonderful to see how many people just really appreciate that. Like, there are guys, I remember Mike Conway of Travel Agency. I did an event last year and he was like, this is the second time, because he came to the men's session you referenced. And then we had an Erven kickoff event and he was one of the speakers, and he's like, this is the second time I've done any breath work this year, and it was both with Solonje. And both
That's
at an
amazing.
event. Yeah, like not something I would expect. And the reason I focused on men is because I feel like men walk around with more of a burden than we know. Yes, they have the privileges of being men. Yes, we live in a totally misogynistic, violent society. But they are not benefiting from that. They are not happy. They are not doing well. They do not communicate their feelings, and it transfers onto their partners, their coworkers, their everybody. So I think men are flowers too, even in this plant world that is feminine focused because the cannabis plant is female. I realized that in order to make a dent in our mental health situation, in our trauma, we need to work with those who we need to get at the root, and it is men.
That
So
is
I focused
brilliant.
on bringing them together, and really, instead of networking and working out, which they're so used to doing, got them to focus on working in and working on what is going on inside them, doing eye gazing, like having being a part of cacao ceremony, making their own tinctures, talking about their challenges and rather than only their triumphs, and in a really soft space for them to share. It wasn't about selling, it was really about connecting, and they were uncomfortable, and like some of them didn't stay the whole time, but most of them did for that whole 4 hours. And I see that repeated in experiences. Most of the people who are attracted to wellness practice, who come to really dial in, are women. So how do we get all humans to engage in this way? So I focused on men and those who identify as such, for that first big event for Weed Auntie. And I continue to just infuse mindful moments into as many experiences as I can, because for some people, that is all that they get for like the year, the month, whatever. And I'm so happy to be that connector to calm, peace, serenity, and a bit of self-care and kindness.
I think that is really what impact is really about. It's not about who you're helping or how many people you're helping, you're just helping. So thank you for that. And I'm definitely looking forward to any upcoming events because I love your mindful moments for sure. So last but
Oh,
not least, we're going to talk about so you are a woman of many hats. And again, that's just a dynamic serial entrepreneur. You have a tech platform. Tell us a little bit about what your platform does. You have a co-founder, where you got the name Erven from, and yeah, let's hear all about
love
it.
that. Yes. So my co-founder and the product developer, her name is Angela. She is the CEO of Erven. Erven is spelled Erven, and it comes from the word herba, which is herb. And Erven also means inheritance. So weed inheritance, what we really are trying to push is owning your data. Like, this is your information about what your products are doing in different stores. And what Erven does is facilitate the exchange of sales performance data directly from the retailer's POS to the brand. So the brand is able to see how each SKU is performing, the sales velocity, how much they have left, when things are going to go out of stock, when they're expiring, all of that. I think so much and so many of us are really focused on, we must be plant touching. And there's so much capital that you must have, not only to launch, but to sustain in that way. Whether you are opening up a retail shop, and I've heard so many horror stories of people who have raised $1 million some dollars and they still haven't opened, and they've run through all of that money. And so I want to be an example. I love to lead by doing. And I have always thought about what is the ancillary product I want to do. And so this opportunity with Angela, we met 3 years ago at NCIA, and it was amazing. And also on the ancillary side, I'm launching a hemp jumpsuit that is about like slow fashion and showing people that you can wear your weed from farm to fashion. So I want to demonstrate that there are other ways to participate in cannabis. It doesn't have to be just these two paths that people think are the ways to success, that I have to be the first Black dispensary owner and that's the only way I'll win. Or that's the only way I can educate, or that's the only way I can empower or and employ people. Like, there's a lot of other ways to do it. And me and Angela with Erven are slowly going. We're in 2 different states. We're in New York and New Jersey right now. We've got 4 different retailers onboarded and a brand that just came on, and we're so excited to push into 2025.
That's what's up. Congratulations. That's super badass. And I love that, again, you're coming out and women, women of color, and really putting action into play, and inspiring not just women, not just women of color, but the whole community on so many things. So I have one quick question. When can we pre-order these jumpsuits? Because I'm all in for a onesie girl.
Yes, we love a jumpsuit girly. Okay, so we will be officially launching in spring of 2025. I literally just got the fabric swatch that I'm going to send to the dyer to see how the dyes come out. And also my inside label that has the Weed Auntie logo on and says, "Wear your weed." I'm so excited. But don't worry, Kimmy, you'll be one of the first to know.
I count me in for one. So I love supporting my friends, but I also love onesies, jumpsuits. I'm all in it. So where
Me
can
too,
we?
as you can see. Always a
Yes, you
jumpsuit girl.
you you always dress fly, and
Oh,
it's always just so original and authentic, and it's definitely one of my favorite parts about you is you always showing up, who knowing who the fuck you are, and it's really inspiring.
thank you, Kim.
Today's conversation was so delicious, and namaste. The light in me honors the light in you for reals. I'm puffing and thinking of your amazing spirit. Where can we find you if someone wants to get a hold of Solange B? Where can they hit you up?
You can hit me up on the social medias via my website handle and website, Solonje Burnett, SOLONJE BURNETT, as well as at Weed Auntie, same thing for the website, and at Erven.ai.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being my esteemed guest. And of course, a near and dear friend and someone who I look up to as an impact maker in our community. I'm sending you big puffs and lots of love.
Oh, right back at you, sis. You're the best, and sending that light right back because you glow. I
Thank
appreciate you,
you.
KymB.
Thanks, Queen. See you soon.
Bye, honey.
Bye.